Hello, welcome. My name is Wilfred, and in this video, I'll be teaching you let, var, and const, which are the initializers to declare variables in JavaScript. If you're here for the first time, please like and share. Also, don't forget to subscribe. And if you don't understand anything, please comment in the comment section below so that I can help you out. All right, so let's jump right in. The first one we're going to look at is the var. I actually chose var because it was the first way of declaring variables in JavaScript. So var is no longer available in the latest version of JavaScript, but it's also worth knowing how it works and the different use cases of var. So var, first of all, is function scope, which means actually we've not talked about functions yet, but it is what I have to use functions to explain this. And don't worry, just calm down. I'll explain what functions are in later videos and we'll learn the different ways to create functions. Anyways, let's take a look at it. All right, so the first one is let's demonstrate it here. Okay, so var, we want to create var, so we'll put var and give the name. Let's say this is example, this is an example, and we assign this variable a value. So we initialize, give it a name, and then so let's say this is a var, this save. Let's console log this, console.log, and put example here. All right, so when we refresh, we can see this is a var. Our variable has been created. Nice. So let's move on to the interesting part. Let's say we console.log this variable here. You know, JavaScript reads code line by line. Let's see what happens when we try to access this variable here without actually declaring it in the first place. It says undefined, then the value of the variable. What about the case? Okay, so what this undefined means is that the variable, so this is what JavaScript did. Let me show you quickly. So let me comment this one out. I'll be commenting it first. So this is what JavaScript did. JavaScript basically said, okay, var, we want to access this example, right? It assumes it's a variable, yes. So what I would do here is I would write var, then set it to example here, without giving it a value. So if we console log this one too, like this example, we'll see the result as well. We'll save, refresh. Now we can see that it is undefined. This undefined does not mean that this variable does not have a value. This undefined itself, it's a data type. So it means this undefined does not mean that the variable it's kind of tricky. I will explain what this undefined means, but it is not actually the same as the variable not being defined. And by that, let's take a look at an example. Let me say we did not use var anywhere in our code at all, but we try to access the example variable. So let's refresh. Now we can see there's an error here. It says uncut reference error, example is not defined. Now this is actually telling us that we did not define the variable, but undefined and not defined are not the same thing. All right, I'll make a video to explain these two logics here. Okay, so let me remove those. Yeah, okay, so we said the var initializer is function scoped. So what this means is that, let me save, refresh. What this means is that if we create var in a function, So by default, when you create var globally, you can access it from anywhere in your code. You can access it in function, in functions, embedded inside functions and so on. But if you create var, let's create a function. This is how you create a function in JavaScript. You would type the name of the function keyword followed by the name. So let me say demo. This will be demo var like this, sorry, and followed by the close brackets and then curly brackets as well. So let's say we create a variable here, var example 2 here, and we assign it a value of this is a second one, a second one. All right, so let's try to log this var outside of the function that we created. Also the log var example 2. Oh, sorry, example 2 here. Now when we save and refresh, it says this example 2 is not defined, just the way we try to access a function, a variable initially that does not exist. So you cannot access this example 2 outside of a function, and the only way you can access it is inside the function itself. So if we console log this function, also the log this example 2 here, example 2, then you can also when we call this function here, demo var, you will see the value of this example 2 here. So you can say this is a second one. Okay, that's what I typed. This is a second one. Now I also mentioned that we can access the variable outside of the function. So anywhere, when the variable is declared with var, it is accessible from anywhere in our function, in our code. So if we put example there, so we want to log the first example, so console.log example like this, we'll be able, so this is a var, let me just put first here so that we can see the difference. First and refresh. Now we can see this is let me stop all of these ones here. Let me comment out this one. All right, let's refresh. Now we can see it is showing us this is the first one. Let me also comment out this one as well. So yeah, so this is a var first. So this var here, it is also accessible in this function. Let me quickly go back on this issue where we were able to access our function. Okay, did I delete it? Okay, so here, let me just put the console.log example here. All right, and we refresh, we can see it is undefined. So what makes this possible for us to access the variable even when we've not declared it initially and assigning it a value? This phenomenon in JavaScript is referred to as hoisting. So the variable var here hoists itself to the top of our function or our code. Let's take a look at a second one, which is the let. Right? So we have let here, let. Okay. So let is very simple, not as complex as the var, and you just need to understand what it does. So let is block scoped. So which means that when you create let within a block like a for loop or an if else statement, for instance, the variable you created there cannot be accessed outside of that particular block, unlike the the var which can be accessed. So if we say if true. Okay, let's just put it there. If true, then let's say var, let's declare a var here. var condition, let me just put cond equals to hello. Yeah, let's try to access the variable here. So this conditional variable that we created, this cond dot conditional variable. So I said if true, so this is already true already. So it will try and, you know, if we console log this. Anyways, the purpose of this is to see whether we can access the value of this variable created here. So if we do something like this, console log condition here, cond here, look at what will happen. Yes, we were able to get this value here. But in the case of this, you know, the let's say we use let here to create this cond value variable. Let's say let's var just put variable, right? So let's try to console log the let variable here. Console.log let variable. When we save, now you can see reference error. Let variable is not defined. So let is very block scoped. So even if we don't use the if statement, we can do something like this. We still won't be able to access the value of this variable here. So let variables are functions, are block scoped, and they don't hoist. So you cannot try to access the value of a you know, let me put this one back here. Let me copy this. Here. Okay, so comment this one out. Put this one back here and comment it as well. So we cannot try to access the value of a let variable, a variable declared with let before declaring it. So let variable here and equals to let variable like this, and let's try to console log it after as well. So let's refresh. The first one says it is what it is, cannot access let variable before initialization, right? So it gives us an error, and then we cannot continue with our code. So once the error is there, the code stops executing. So that's how the let variable works. And the second one we're going to look at is the const. I mean the third one, sorry. So let's cause this, and let's take a look at const. So let's say const here. All right, this is the const initializer. We use const to create variables. So the same way we create any variable. So do variable. Okay, let's just put const variable. You know what? This is quite confusing. Let's just put fruits here. And let's say this one is a mango, like this, right? Console.log the fruits here like this, and let's refresh our browser. We can see there's a hello still going on here. Okay, we can see that the you know, the mango is being logged in the console, which means that our variable was successfully created and we assigned it the value of mango. Now, why is this const so special, or why is it different from the other ones? Let's take a look. So let's say this const here, you know, we want to reassign it a value. By the way, the other initializers allow you to assign you a different value to the variables once they are created. So you can create a variable with let and then later assign it a different value, which works perfectly fine. So in the case of this const here, we want to assign it a value of, we want to reassign it. So let's say we don't want mango anymore, we want oranges now. What do you think will happen? All right, not what do you think will happen, because you probably don't know what will happen, but let's take a look. Now we can see that there's an error in the console, and it basically says uncaught type error, assignment to constant variable. So once a variable is created with const, you cannot reassign the value of that variable anymore. Once it is created, it is done. There's no change, there's no going back. So that's what const do basically. There you can't just change the value of the const, but there's an exception. There's something weird that happens in JavaScript, and I really love this so much. Once I found out about it, I was so happy that I could actually debate that not all cases of const is actually not it's actually immutable. So let's say we have fruits, right? And let's use a data type of an array. So let's say we have mango here, and we have you know, what other fruits? Why am I not remembering fruits? Oranges. Okay, right. So when we console log this, the fruits here like this, and refresh our browser, we can see we have the array of fruits, mango and oranges. But now the set const is not mutable, meaning once the value is created, that variable is created, you cannot change the value of that variable. But let's do something very interesting. So console.log. Okay, let's say we've not learned about array methods here yet, but let me show you something you can do. So these fruits here, right, we want to do something to it. So let's say fruits, let's add another fruit to it. Fruit dot push, let's say avocado. Now you would expect this to give you an error and say, oh, you've tried to change the value of this variable, this array here. We don't allow that, please stop it. Okay, so let's refresh. Now we can see there's no error. It's basically allowed it. So I think there's an exception to arrays when it comes to const, declaring variables with const. So when you're coding and you figured using const would not change the value of your variable, but when it comes to array, just be careful so that you don't make a mistake, and because they can actually be changed. That's it for let var and const. So var is function scope. You can access var from anywhere once it's declared globally. You can reassign both var and let new values once after they've been declared. You can also create variables using const, and which are very immutable. You cannot change them except when it comes to arrays. That's it for this video. Please, if you do not understand a particular part of this video, please comment in the comment section below. Let me help you.